Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, the space for entrepreneurs on a quest for unwavering certainty and purpose. I'm your host, Lauren, and each episode is a compass guiding you through authentic conversations, unraveling the mysteries of your human design chart, and offering tools from the remarkable guest. Join me as we embark on a journey to manifest greatness and create a life aligned with our deepest purpose. This is the space where misfits find their enlightenment. Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I'm your host, Lauren. In today's episode, I have here with me Taylor. She is a spiritual guide. Yes, you heard that right. She is going to explain exactly why she calls herself that. Welcome, Taylor. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you kind of explain where, share a little bit about your journey and like what inspired you to, do what you do right now?
Well, I will try to keep this concise, but I was born in the Midwest. I had my first child when I was 15. So by all matters of society, I wasn't ever supposed to make it or be anything, do anything, etc. I'm now a mom of 5. I have been a nurse for over 15 years. I am a published author, like all of the things that everybody thought I couldn't do. And by everybody, really just society of you have these statistics and it's like, oh, if a woman has a child at this point, at this, whatever, I never subscribed to it and my family never subscribed to it. So I have been able to, pretty much just be, do, and have everything that anybody else, if they, had their first kid when they were 35. And it's like, here I am almost 40 in a few years. And, my youngest is 13. So it's like I am stepping into a whole other phase of life. And, I just started my business about a year and a half ago. And that really spawned, it was the result and a result of an intense journey, but also spawned this next part of the journey that I'm walking every single day.
Yes, I love that. So can you kind of explain to the listeners how you got do you have a system that you use to help guide your clients through?
Yeah, so I will also dive in here. I am trained in breath work, theta healing, and I'm a Reiki master. And I'm studying for my ICF credentials, which the coaching world doesn't really care about, but because I'm a Virgo, I care. It's one of those things where, I also study astrology and human design. So I blend all of this stuff into literally who I am. Like my kids' friends have to give me their birth information before they come to my house. Like that's kind of where we are in life. Of like, I'm like, oh, you have a pet? When's your dog's birthday? Like that's me. Where was your dog born? What time? Give me as close as possible. And that's literally how I show up at work. It's how I show up outside of work. I still work a full-time job. And yeah, so I have a signature program that's called Inception. I absolutely love to play in the subconscious because that has been my savior, literally, of saving my life. So I like to dig into the subconscious stuff, see what's there, what's ready to be healed, processed, and the biggest goal for me in, creating my business is really to bring voice to these healing modalities that have absolutely changed my life and step away from the fact that, I went to Catholic school. I was raised to think that all of this stuff was witchcraft. And I actually don't believe that anymore because I've been able to learn things for myself. So I know what it's like to kind of grow up. I'm an African American woman and grow up in, this culture, this setting where it's scary to explore things outside of the church. And I still very much so, Christian, believe in God, but like I also was at breathwork last night and I will be there next week. And I, am into tarot and oracle. I literally, as I was waiting to come on, I'm like, here's my morning tarot deck pull. So I've just been able to step out and explore. And that's what I want to help other people do too. Like it's okay to be curious and see what works for you and what doesn't.
Yes, I love that. And when you were talking, we seem very similar. I love human design. I teach it. I love astrology. What's your human design?
I'm a 2-4 generator.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I'm a projector. So on the the when I see like different, I should say guests, I always see there's some type of when I always like ask spirit, because I believe the same thing. I grew up in a very, very toxic Catholic, family. And I was like, same thing with you. I was very curious. I used all of my experiences, trauma, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, this is not witchcraft. I was obviously doing the craft before I even knew what I was doing, right? And then I'm like, wait a second, these are actually like the answers to all of these questions of like, why is this way? Why is that way? Right. And it's like, oh, so there's just a different perspective. And I feel like that's why I really got into astrology and really got into human design about 9 years ago and like self-taught myself. Right. Because I'm like, wait a second, this actually just makes sense. Same thing too with, when you say, that you're still Christian and you believe in God, same thing. Like I still believe that there is a source that controls everything, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be like a person, right? Like it's more of like
Mhm.
it's just source, like an energy source. So I love that.
Yeah,
Um,
my biggest thing that I say is like, as long as you don't think you're God, I can work with it. Like, your God can be the tree outside, it can be the ocean. As long as you don't think you're the end all be all, like, I can absolutely like open my mind and my perspective to have that conversation when people are on that way left end. I'm like, that's probably like the only thing that's like a hard no for me, where I'm just like, come back to me in a little bit.
yeah,
And there's a reason for that. Like it's not
yeah,
just, it's not just my programming, but there's a it comes a point where I'm sure we'll get into, but like there comes a point where in this human 3D experience, you just have to like, you don't have to, but if you want your life to change, you throw your hands up and you surrender and you become willing. And if you still think you're running the show from A to Z, that's really, really hard. And I don't want that hard life anymore.
right. It's all about, like when you said surrender, yes, 100%. Like I used to call myself, I don't call myself this anymore, but I used to call myself a recovering control freak. And I realized that isn't, I kept identifying as that. And then it was harder for me to like kind of lean into that resistance of no, it's just trauma or my wounding or something coming up that I kept myself safe. And like when you said something about the subconscious, I love playing in the subconscious. I feel like too, like with myself. And then also I'm, when I mirror that with my clients too, because I feel like that actually has so much answers. And people, I feel like society, and I'm sure you believe the same thing, but society makes it like, oh, you don't want to address that, you don't want to address your shadows, oh, you don't want to address your wounding, because that's gonna stir up whatever chaos or whatever. Like, to be honest, right now in this moment the entire collective is in chaos, so it's like we have to move through it. And I love that there's so many people like you or just anybody that is raising their own conscious awareness, that they are like, wait a second, we don't need to live in fear or that generational trauma or that just ancestral, all that stuff, because I feel like that 100% is what leads to burnout, like 100%.
The piece there too is that the subconscious always gets what it wants,
Right.
period, point blank. Like so you can address it or not address it. It's going to address you every single day.
Right.
So you can choose or not choose. It's going to keep choosing for you. And I know like science, because, like I said, I'm a nurse, so I geek out on the science part. And that's why astrology and human design just like makes sense. You're literally looking at points and different dynamics that literally just kind of spell it out when you see your birth chart or you see your human design and you're like, wow, my life kind of makes a lot more sense of like, that's why I am that way. There's just that famous Carl Jung quote that says, until you bring the subconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you'll call it fate. So science community is between 90 to 95% of your brain is the subconscious. So this little 5 to 10% where you think you're running the show. No, like all these patterns of like, why do I keep ending up in, toxic relationships? Why do I keep ending up in these crappy jobs? Or why do I just hate all the people around me? If you start digging into some of that, because a lot of it, of course, we were born with, it's literally in our DNA. If you start digging into some of that and releasing it and acknowledging it, I don't even call it shadow work. You can't have light without dark. It's just not scientifically possible. So I don't even like focus on it in the sense of like, oh, I'm doing my shadow work. Like there's shadow in all of us. And I acknowledge and deal with mine every single day. And like, yeah, some days are better than others, but it's the whole perceptive of like, I don't think, 5 years ago, we'd be having a totally different conversation. I'm like, I have everything together. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm working toward. I don't know what I'm working towards today. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I just know that all I have is today, and I'm going to be at least 1% better today than I was yesterday. And if that's what I do, then I did what I could do today, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I love that you just said that, because here's the thing about me. I'm very transparent and authentic too. And if you, like you said, like the conversation you would have with me like 5 years ago, same thing. Maybe even the conversation you had me like 6 months ago would have been a little bit different than today, even yesterday. I feel like, it's just kind of like one of my clients had said last week, and I feel like I've been hearing this from a lot of people is, I've done this before, like I've done shadow work for 2 years. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I need you just to accept that you need to do this every single day, just a little bit better every single day. And it was like that little piece of awareness, because I needed that awareness at one point in my journey too, and probably still do every day, right? That it's just like, let's just do it one day at a time. Like, just one day at a time. Just don't focus on what you're doing in 5 years. And then, like you said, none of us have it figured out, even if we think we do.
That's the worst place to be, is if you think you do.
Right. Right. Yes, literally. I just actually just said that to my boyfriend the other day. I was like, if you think you have your life figured out, I'm a little concerned for you, because I don't want to be there. So I think we need to have another conversation. And it was just funny.
And I say that as a Virgo, like I'm a Virgo sun. So
Okay.
when you said recovering control freak, hello, she is me, I am her.
Yeah.
The OCD, the perfectionism, but I just like, I had this revelation a couple months ago, and I just like put up a color block post where it just finally clicked for me one day that my resilience is a freaking trauma response. And I'm like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I no longer want to be the comeback kid. I don't want to be the, oh my God, she's so accomplished because of this. Like, can I enter my soft girl era, please? Because like,
Right.
I'm tired of like, I just want to rest. I'm old. My knees hurt. Like, I don't want to fight every single day of my life to keep proving to myself that I'm worthy, that I'm valuable. Like, I just don't want to do that anymore. But I subscribed to it for like my whole life because I let that teen mom piece forge. My kids will never have a life that, dictated the fact that their mom was a teenager, like that, so fighting so hard to the point where people, think I'm 20 years older than I am. And I'm like, no, I'm not even 40 yet. Like, yes, my oldest will be 22 there. And then they kind of do the math. And I'm like, you don't have to guess. Like, I gave birth at 15. Like, no, it's
Right.
the, that maths. But I
Right.
let that be, I was the youngest. I still graduated high school when I was 17. I was the youngest in my nursing school class. And I still did like all these really, really amazing things. And I don't regret anything, but like, I was just driving to work, and it literally hit me like, damn, my resilience is a trauma response. It is always this, I'm ready to prove, show, do. I'm ready to come early. I'm ready to stay late. I'm going to show you that I have the right to be here. Of course I have the right to be here. And so I just had to like take that deep breath and say, it's okay. Like, girl, it's fine. And
Right.
like even that, I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't journaling, I wasn't in meditation. Like those are daily practices for me, but nothing specific was happening at that moment. I wasn't in oh, I'm going to address my shadow today. I literally was like sitting at a red light and I was like, oh, and I just kind of looked back, and then I had a whole bunch of answers in seconds for things that I've been this way for decades, like more than half my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say I want to speak about that resilience, because I feel like for me it was definitely emotional resilience when it came to, my authority in human design is emotional, and then my whole life I was called a crybaby. You cry too much. It was more of like, just not that my parents like, were terrible to me. It's just they both were unemotionally unavailable, so they didn't understand their emotions, and that comes into that generational thing, right? So it's like it was just this moment probably about 9 years ago that I was like, I am sick of being like this. Like, I need to figure out and then went down the rabbit hole of human design and then astrology and all the things. And then I realized my whole life it was just like I was this emotional container for everybody. I would always make sure
Mhm.
everybody else was okay, right? Same thing with you being a teen mom. You had to make sure everybody else was like everybody else was okay before yourself, because that's just what society says. And it's like now, no, it's like if you can't fill your own cup up, how are you going to do it for anybody else? And that's kind of how, especially me being a projector, I don't have that life force energy like every single day. So it's like if I show up just the way I am, I'm glad, because it's like sometimes, being a mom in general or just being a human nowadays, it's just like, this is what I'm doing today and this is what we're going to do. So that I feel like that emotional, for me, that emotional resilience has literally been the saving, like every single time has saved me to like just keep going, because I had three different near death experiences to the point that I was like, what am I doing on this planet? Why do I don't want to be here. And it's just like that deep feeling of that keeps coming up. And it's like, God, this is exactly how it feels to, just feel it. And it's like, sometimes I don't want to, but I just allow myself to feel it because that will push you forward. It was shown to me multiple times that will keep pushing me forward. Plus, I didn't realize how when I, how like victim mentality I was in, before I had my daughter. I was in all these relationships and I literally just said, why do I keep attracting these people? Like, these are shitty people. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm a shitty person. Now at that time, obviously I'm not a shitty person, but I had a lot of wounding that was being shown to me. And it's like, oh no, I need to, now I need to look at this. Like, it was like I'm looking in a mirror, like at myself, like I really hate myself. And it's just like how to shift that. And I feel like a lot of people are coming into that same awareness of, now I look at the world from the inside out. So if I am calling somebody a shitty person, not that I do, but, I just have that level of awareness now and that perspective that I'm like, you know what? They are only end their journey. Like, same thing with, I seen a post the other day. It was, I forget who had posted it. It was quoted from somebody, but it was, I'm sure like a spiritual, like on Instagram or something, but it said people only come into their level of self, like love, for how much they love themselves. Same thing with, perspective and awareness. They, the only thing that they can, become aware of is how aware of themselves they are. And I feel like the average person is not aware at all, so.
It's yeah, and I can't even say it's scary. It just is, I remember when I first started learning all of the things, I was like, is that good or is that bad? And I
Right.
had a mentor that would just be like, it just is, like,
Mhm.
stop. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but is it good or is this bad?
Mhm.
And now people probably feel that same level of irritation because we'll be talking and they're like, so is this a good transit or not? Dude, it's just information. It's just
Right.
information.
Right.
I don't fear monger people about any particular, transits or anything. I had to teach myself to not fear the death and the devil card in tarot.
Right.
Like I had to like literally train myself, and I would look it up because, Virgo, I would look it up every time that it came out and look at, what part of me, what experience, what situation is about to transmute, what's about to be die and be reborn, or what is just going to die and just not be anymore. So I trained myself to look at it with a different lens and not be like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Somebody I know is gonna die. Like yeah, sometimes it means that, but like
Right.
more often than not, it's a part of you, it's an experience, it's a situation, it might be a relationship. It's like everything I do, I use as it is, which is information. I don't put my faith into the card deck. The card deck is a tool, it's a guide. It's so the kind of just like it's literally how I'm showing up differently for myself and for my, current and future and all the potential clients out there, of like, I'm still growing every single day. So that's kind of why, and it's like no shade to coaches at all. Like I'm not even like, I just don't even have the energy to entertain like hating on other people. But it's like I I struggled to identify with certain terms when you get into business. And, I've had great experiences with my mentors, my programs. I honestly cannot say there's anything that I, invested in that I did not get value in. Like I am very fortunate to be able to say that.
Mhm.
Um, but I've told like 6, 7 figure earners like to their face, I'm like, oh, that's cool, I'm not doing that. And they're like, and I'm like, it something, I don't know what it is. I'm glad that that worked for you, but like, I know how to take out of it the pieces that
Right.
feel aligned to me, because just because you did it this way and you made X amount of dollars, that's awesome. And that's probably why we're talking, because your marketing is excellent and you know what the hell you're doing. So like, I want to have a conversation with you, but I don't think I can shove Taylor into your box and replicate those same results, nor do I want to. So if it takes a little bit longer, if it, I'm looking at the long haul here. I don't care about let's make, 6 figures in 90 days. Is that possible? Absolutely. Is
Right.
it highly probable and likely, depending on where you are with your business and your marketing and your messaging and your audience, that that might not really happen for you? Probably.
Right.
So it's like being able to just have that discernment when you enter the spaces, when you're making these decisions that are like long term, to just be able to be like, what can I do today to work towards this? And, not beat myself up because I didn't become a millionaire yesterday. Like that's kind of like where the light, the shadow, like all that stuff just really blends together and shapes like how I live my life every day.
Yeah, I love that we're having this conversation because I literally had just had the same conversation with a client last week, and she's also a projector. And she had said to me, now, this person that she is, I'm not going to name drop, it doesn't really matter, but she had said to me that this so and so did it this way, and she's a self made millionaire. And all I said to her was, but you are a different person and you are a projector, and your strategy, if we're going back to human design, because that's how you're built, that's how you're designed, that isn't who you are, and that is not what you're here to do. And if you don't believe me, you don't need to, I can show you on a chart exactly what I'm talking about, because like I'm intuitively, I don't know if when you read charts you intuitively read them, but I do. And it's just kind of my eyes go wherever I need to go, I say the message that need to be said, and that's it. I'm not filtering it through my ego. I'm not, I'm just kind of doing it very intuitively. And I always had that space. And, it clicked for her. She said, oh my goodness, this is why nothing worked. And I said, exactly. And I didn't need to tell her that. I just had to show her, look at it from this perspective. Right. And that's kind of how I do things in general with anybody. Like anybody that I come across, because I, being a projector, and Pisces moon and rising, I see the bigger picture, right? So
Yeah, you do.
and I'm an Aquarius moon or Aquarius sun. So it's like and then of course I'm, this magical projector too. So it's like I see the bigger picture, but then sometimes with my own life, I can't see the bigger picture. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like I can see everybody else's bigger picture, but what the hell is going on with my bigger picture?
I thought it was just,
Right.
I am a Virgo sun, Libra moon, the most
Okay.
delusional, and I'm an Aquarius rising. And I can tell you how to fix your stuff.
Right.
And I've helped so many people create programs, monetize. I'm like, oh, tweak this, tweak that. But for me, I'm like, I put it on my website. I'm like, I will probably always have a coach and or mentor and or something tethering me in, because left to my own devices, I will try to fix the world tonight, like that, in my spare time. And like I have done it before and it has almost killed me, because I was functioning and I was showing up like a manifesting generator, and I'm not, like I'm just not. And
Right.
that's how I was living my life, and it almost took me out. Like it's wild when you see, like when I started digging into, and like I don't even really do chart readings per se, because
Okay.
I feel like I'm the person, like, can I read a chart? Yes. I don't offer them, I don't sell them. I just like needed to know how to work with you. Like I want to
Oh, yeah.
know how to communicate with you in a way that you don't necessarily need to understand how and why I know how to talk to you right now. But like that's kind of like my gift in using it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm one of those people. I know a lot about a lot, but I don't know anything. I don't know shit.
Right.
At the end of the
Yeah.
day, like my
Literally.
book collection is crazy. I'm always reading something wild. I had to stop reading Neville Goddard for a minute because then I was scared of my own thoughts. And like, I'll dive into all this stuff. And like, I want to, embrace it and learn it fully. Like, all the modalities that I just listed off, I did all this in a year. Um,
Yeah.
which is insane. So
Yeah.
like nobody does that, and like nobody ever told me. I have one person that told me and I didn't really listen to her, and then it bit me in the ass. But when you start diving into these modalities to not only participate but facilitate them, your entire life is going to change. And
Right.
nobody told me the first day of breathwork class, buckle up, it's going to be a ride. Nobody told me that. I'm like, here we are. Here's my certificate. So I don't even talk about the modalities anymore. Like when I'm on socials, I don't, and I have a coach that's just like, nobody cares. They only care about the result. And I'm like, but the results can be whatever they want them to be. I can help them do it. And they're like, that's not how you say that. And I'm like, but what do I do? So like I'm
Right.
stuck in this like messaging war with myself, of like, I won't just I'm niched because I want to help people. I'm niche because I want to help people transform. And like I said, my only hard boundary is the people that don't think that there's something else, some other energy source, whatever, that's like the only thing that I am not equipped to help you with right now. But whenever you have your rock bottom, whatever that looks like, I will be here when you come back, because I like it on this side. I'm saying, but it's this just it's the
Yeah.
things that just like literally, keep the Virgo up at night, where it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, I can't sleep. So I don't just turn on TV. I pull out a book, or I pull out my journal, or I get back on YouTube, and it's just like, stop, girl, you cannot learn. Like, I banned myself from getting any further certifications this year. Like, you cannot. If anybody's like, oh, you'd be great for no, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
I like, it's just a
Not this
hard no.
year, maybe next year.
2024. Yeah, like come back next year. But like, I need to let all this stuff integrate. I was learning,
Yeah.
doing. Again, part of
Yeah.
that trauma response. I didn't give myself time to integrate at all. I was just going, and that wasn't safe, but I was like doing it in a way, even though I know people talk, I wasn't like sneaking, but I was sneaking. Like, I was convincing myself that it was all okay. And it's gonna be okay. It's fine. Like, I know that it was, it happened for a reason, but it's like all these things, it's just, and that's where I kind of like come into the guiding versus coaching, which is like, we see how that tangent just went. But like that's where I'm like, I'm still being guided so I can guide others. I don't feel the alignment particularly for myself. That's why I said it's no shade to anybody that calls themselves any type of coach. I respect everybody. But for me, I've been trying to like just dig in and be like, well, who the hell are you? Like, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I was going to say, I definitely resonate with everything that you said, especially your Virgo sun. So I will always forever have a mentor. I feel like if people that say that they don't need mentors, I understand there's seasons of life that you might not need to pay somebody their one-on-one coaching, $5,000 programs, right? But you need somebody that knows a little bit more than you do to kind of help you guide, kind of like reach down, like, hey, do you need help? Like that type of thing. I feel like us just in general, guides, healers, mentors, whatever you call yourself. I feel like, we feel like we have it figured out, when we don't. And then it's like, oh shit, I need somebody, right? It's like, I need to, anyway, before I go on that tangent, my mentor had said to me, Lauren, you can talk to me, I can be a soundboard. What do you need help with? What do you, and then, here's me, like my ego's like, no, we're fine, keeping me safe. Right. And I'm like, no, I need to actually lean into this resistance. This is what's happening. And I actually just kind of changed my niche literally like within the last 2 weeks, because I did not feel like it was safe to call myself an intuitive human design business guide, but I'm helping entrepreneurs with their businesses. So it's like, why can't I call myself that? But I don't align with a business coach. I'm not, I know strategy. I just look at their chart for that strategy. I am a healer, like a trauma healer, like I have all these certifications too, like you said, and got them very quickly. Like needed to go get a yoga instructor, certification, because yoga is what helped my somatic, I use somatic, healing and breath work and all this stuff. And I got all these certifications. I'm like, so now what do I do with them? Like, what am I supposed to do now? And it's crazy how, connected everybody has a story, and it's like something that I'm speaking or I'm talking about, it will pull something out of them. They're like, I understand, like I get it, it makes sense. And I'm just like, okay. So I don't, we all don't feel so alone, because I feel like a lot of us feel so alone, and it's like nobody's alone, we're all together. It's just like that community, and like building that community, especially for me, I like community and family, and just like connecting with other people. Being a projector, not much of my Aquarius side wants to connect with people, but being a projector and seeing people very deeply, and I can see again the overall picture. I feel like I want to help them, but then my strategy, being a projector, I have to be invited. So it's like, then it's like, I can't really say what I want to say because it's going to be taken, the wrong way. So it's like, that's what I actually dealt with my entire life, because I've always wanted to help people. And I would give them unsolicited advice. And I always say this, I know this is unsolicited advice, but I feel like I need to say it. And then they laugh. They're like, I actually needed to hear that. Thank you. But so I always have to put that label on, because it's like, I don't know if you want to hear this, but I need to say it. And that usually is exactly, and I'm sure you deal with the same thing, exactly what that person needs, but maybe they're not asking or they're not saying it right.
And like being a generator, when I get those hits now, because like that's that would be a whole other episode to talk about how I've been reconnecting to my intuition that I ignored and avoided for, I don't know, decades. Also, I'm a master dissociator. Like I'm a sacral authority, so not emotional at all.
Yeah.
But like all I do now is when I get those hits, whoever I'm talking to, whatever I'm dealing with, I just say, hey, are you in a space to receive feedback? And let them say yes or no.
Yes.
I will still usually get it out. Like I might just record a voice note and say, hey, I'm going to put this, we might be texting, for example. I'm going to put this in a voice note whenever you have capacity. Listen, like I'm getting it off of me and over to you. You can listen to it and respond one day. You can never listen to it, but I'm going to put it out there and, with your consent. And if you say, no, you're not in a space to receive it, I just like, you've given the guides, you've given whoever gave me that information, you've
Right.
just told them what your decision is. So if the opportunity ever arises again, that's where I get to release and surrender, and I don't have to figure that part out. And old me, that version of me, would have been like, oh my God, I have to help. You literally cannot help somebody until they want to help themselves.
Right.
I cannot, I've never, even in all the things I've learned about sales and all the strategies, people's objections are valid. Like people, whatever it is, I don't care if it is just money. Sometimes just money isn't something that people have. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that your life's going to go to shit because you don't give me your credit card right now. How can I support you in the meantime? How can, let's stay connected? Come into my free Facebook group. Like that's kind of like my style, where if I have to pressure you in any way, shape, or form, you're not ready and you're not going to get the results. And I need people, I draw people that have that similar hunger, that similar desire as me, where like you don't really know yet what it is that you're here to do, but you're damn like you're going to find out, and you're ready to just start showing up acting as if and let the rest handle itself. And
Right.
like that's all you got to do. But if you're kind of like, oh well, if somebody even asks me like, is this going to be hard? My very first masterclass ever, I was like, I literally called it healing straight up, no chaser, because that's how I used to drink. So it was very authentic and true to me. And I was just like, there's nothing about any journey that I've been on that's been linear. Like what, even in your
Yeah.
career progression, like even if you're going to medical school, if you're going to law, what about anything you've ever experienced was linear? So no, healing is no different. There's going to be super high highs and super low lows. And there's going to be days where you're like, why the fuck did I sign up for this? Well, at some point, I'm still digging into this personally. My soul apparently agreed to come here and do this. I still think it's very ghetto. I think it's 0 stars. That is my Yelp review on the third dimension, like, period. But apparently, somewhere, my soul said, come here, sis, you got a job to do. I'm still trying to figure out with my higher self, because I don't remember consenting to that. But whatever, here we are. So it's like you're here for, everybody's here for a reason. And being able to step into exploring that will hopefully prevent you from repeating it in the next lifetime, because that's all that's going to happen. Like you can get it done. You can get it done now, you can get it done later. I am choosing to, change my energy, raise my vibration, and just, be different every single day. Like it's that complicated, but it's that simple.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know that, we're recording this and you can't see that I had to mute myself, because if not, I would have just took over laughing. I'm like, hold on, let me just mute myself, because I'm literally dying. I was like, I definitely needed this morning, this afternoon. I know it's 12:15 when we're recording this here, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I needed that, because you're right. I literally had said this to a friend last week. I said, who the fuck signed me up for this shit? And who is like, she's looking at me.
Who did it? Who did it?
And she's like, Lauren, can I? I'm like, don't even answer me, because it's not my soul. And she's like, your human side is what doesn't understand this, but your soul understands it. I'm like, well, can somebody connect us again, please?
Can we meet and can we have coffee about this? Like, can we? I really, I just want to, like, I just want to understand. Like, I feel like that's you talk about inner child and reparenting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, my inner 2-year-old temper tantrums, I just let myself have them now,
Yep.
because I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's really, really hard. Adulting sucks. So I'm just telling my kids, I'm taking the opportunity to let my kids know, like, adulting is super ghetto. It's very unrewarding, and enjoy childhood, like enjoy these bills. Like somebody said that last night, like, you don't owe anybody anything. I said, well, can somebody tell my bills that? Because the first is coming. Can somebody tell them, because they didn't get the message? Why can't all of the energy just talk to each other, and like why? But
Right.
and then like I said, I live in freaking Southern California. Like I live in the most expensive state in the United States of America. And I'm like,
Who decided
oh
that?
my God. No, for real. Like it's funny enough, I got like a locational like astrocartography thing done, and Southern California was
Okay.
in there. So I was just like, I was like, all right, but for how long? Because I mean, yes, I don't want to live where the air hurts my face anymore. That's a given.
That's
But
true. Let's
like,
toast.
it's unreasonable. Like, I literally didn't buy eggs for like the first year because eggs were like $7. I was just like, I don't even like eggs that much. I'm just not doing it. Like, I don't care. Um, so like you look at these, I love being able to be 10 minutes from the ocean. Like, I love being able to, I live like 20 minutes from Encinitas. So like the
Okay.
the gifts of living here are beautiful, but then like that's where like spirituality gets real funky out here though, because while this wouldn't be what I'm doing now, wouldn't be cool in like Western New York where I was from, where I've been for my whole adult life, but out here everybody's a spiritual guru. And you will never, if you ever catch me in a white skirt on a beach, please like just take me somewhere and put me in a corner, because like that's so not me. But there, like, that's the trying to figure out your footing in spirituality, in the modalities, in the existence, when you're surrounded by it and everybody's like, oh, I've had my 10th Kundalini experience. And you're like, all right, sis, whatever. I got to go to work. Like, it's hard. And again, not no shade at anybody's Kundalini experience. I just,
Yeah.
certain stuff, it's overwhelming, and you really have to dig into yourself, your higher self, all your guides, not theirs. Like, you really have to like get grounded in who you are and who you are becoming, and all of that, in order to like exist and show up. Because I very much feel like overwhelmed 90% of the time, but that 10% right there is like, ooh, this is some magic. So like today, I feel like I don't even know what I'm posting today. I'm probably just gonna talk shit. But like, I'm also like
Yeah.
attracting and repelling at the same time. And like, that is exactly like who I am as a person. You either love me or you really dislike me. And I'm totally good with that. Most people love me, but it's like this, I feel that way about people too. So it's like, we don't have to all, I said it from the day I was starting my business. I was like, I'm not for everybody. I am not everybody's cup of tea, because that is where, I had a journal that I just did. Well, it's been done, but I finally like put it out there. But it's literally called Soul Swag, a mindfulness journey for the real, raw, and unapologetically ratchet. Because I am the girl that will leave breath work. I will, I meditated this morning before I even started my day. I'm gonna be listening to Cardi B on my way to work. Like, that's me. Like, there's no, oh, I'm just gonna listen to meditative music. I listen to frequencies. I have an altar, like I have all these things, my crystals. I don't leave home without my bracelets. But like, a girl likes her hip hop, and like, I don't need to change that part of me because I'm in this stage of awakening, or ascension, or whatever. Like, I can be all of that. So it's like, it's a hot mess, and I don't even know where I started, but there you go. I'm gonna stop myself.
I was gonna say, no, I love these are like the best conversations that I love having, especially on the podcast, because whatever I say, you say, whatever people hear, that's just their own limitation of their own perspective. But I'm telling you, the listeners that are going to listen to this are
And
going
do
to be
we really
like,
have on similar necklaces?
I think so. Do we? Oh my goodness. It just makes sense. So yeah, if anybody's listening and they're like, go check out the video, because you'll be able to see we have very similar necklaces. I just
And not planned.
Yeah, I know. And I put the intention out always to that whoever I'm supposed to connect with, and even like this was scheduled, so it's not even like I knew this was going to happen. I knew this conversation was going to happen, but that when you said that 10% that everything makes sense and it's magic, that is why I continue to do what I do, because it's like same thing. I'm 100% me. I can't fit myself into a box. If I tried, I tried my whole life. Can't do that either. It's just like, I'm just going to be who I hear people all the time. It's like, oh, what you do this spiritual thing, you do this, and I'm like, hold up. I'm a human first. And I have a soul. Yes. And I am very compassionate and I'm very loving, but I'm a human. and it is not easy to be a human. So I just, accepted and allowed that. And then I realized, oh, so your perspective is that like small, which is fine. Just means
You
that
have to be one thing or
yeah,
in this realm
yeah,
and or here. And
right,
me, I'm like, fuck the box. Give me the
right,
dynamite so I can blow it up
right,
because I did that for
right.
so long.
Yeah,
It literally like what we didn't get into is like I'm also in recovery. Like what trying to fit in a box did for me is
right,
almost literally kill me in this realm with alcohol because I couldn't and I didn't understand and I had zero tools. So my only refuge was purely to escape because I was existing and showing up very well, very prim and proper in these boxes for my entire freaking life. Like, let's again, Black girl in Catholic school. We weren't Catholic, but I went to Catholic school. So that's what I was surrounded with. That's what I knew. Like, I didn't. And then, oh, getting pregnant at 15. Like, do you know how many people like probably could not talk to me or like couldn't, their parents were like, oh my God, it was the equivalent of, the goddamn scarlet letter, basically. So it's
right,
like that a culmination of that is what leads people into alcoholism, addiction, and like the ugly underbelly part of society and the world that we see. So it's like when you survive something like that, and like there's this other quote that I absolutely love is that religion is for people that are afraid of hell and spirituality is for those that have already been there. I've been there. I got the t-shirt. So I don't care what you call me, but like if you want me to help you, I will absolutely help you. Like that's like the moral of all of it together is like I get you, I value you, I see you. I've probably been there in this life or another and
right.
like I got you. Like that's it. Like I got you. I'm like I have that Virgo I call it the golden retriever energy. I'm loyal as they come, like sometimes too loyal, but like once we're in our spheres and our energies are locked in, like you never have to worry about a thing because if I got it, you got it. It doesn't matter if it's a sandwich, if it's a t-shirt, like that's just like that's how I operate. So that's how I feel about, like I said, clients, potential future clients, all that. Like once we're in, like I got you. I want to see you be bigger and better and badder than me. Like it's never a competition. It's just all about being that little 1% better every single day. That's it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I was going to say, there's been messages for me. I never made anything that I did in my like journey, I would say, about myself. I've always made it about somebody else. And lately I've been getting really strong messages from spirit, that it's never been about you. It's what you have to use your experiences to then help other people. And then it's like, I don't even know when it clicked. And it was just like, oh, okay. So like that is the moment because I had kept asking myself, why do I take everything so personal? Like, why am I taking things personal? Now, obviously not in like a client setting. Obviously that's the intention of that. But when I would take just like personal life stuff, because my drug of choice, like I say, it was not alcohol, it was not drugs. It was, well, I could probably suppress a lot of stuff through my journey with alcohol, but it was relationships was my drug of choice. It was very codependent relationships. And that was through like sexual trauma, sexual abuse, when I was very young age. And I had said this to my mentor. She said, what are you really good at? And then, I was telling her, and then, I was like, the one thing I do know I'm really good at is healing trauma, because ever since I have this badge that I decided to pick, that I have this multifaceted trauma badge that like, okay, I have all this trauma. Now what do I do with it? And it's like using those experiences to kind of help other people. And she's just like this like mind blowing expression. She was like, exactly. And I was like, why do people use their and I understand people say, well, I had this done. This is the reason why, this is my excuse. Like, and it's like all these excuses. And she's like, but what can we do with it? Like, what is the result of that happening? Like, how can you change it? And it was like that shift of when I was like, oh, okay. Same thing with like, how I'm showing up in the world. It's like, I have all of this stuff to show you. I have all of these certifications. And then she must be, we must have the same coach or very similar coaches, like mentors, because she was like, nobody gives a fuck about any of that, Lauren. And it was like, I know, so help me change it.
And you're
So
like offended, like that ego death. Cause I'm like, do you like when I first was told that, I was like, do you know who I am? Like, have you seen my resume? Do you know? Like, forget when
yeah.
you combine, I had to shorten my resume. Like, I'm 37 at the time of this recording. My resume was 4 pages long, and I'm not a professor. So, like, I think that's only okay when you're putting together a curriculum vitae for like a tenured position at a freaking university or something. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, girl, you got to get rid of no, because even in the career world, y'all, nobody cares. Nobody cares
Nobody cares.
about the pages of
Yeah.
certificates. They care about what you can bring to their organization, how are you gonna improve, how are you gonna save them money and make them money. Period. Even in healthcare, guys, like, sorry to sell you, burst that bubble. I'm a nurse, and I've been in management for the last 10 years. And that's still the bottom line. Like, yes, I absolutely want to love on people and do the best for them and give them great care. But like, if you don't have insurance, we got to have a different conversation. And those are uncomfortable. But like, it all comes down to saving money, making money when you're dealing in business. So it's like, even in the spiritual world, yes, yoga certification is probably the only one I do not have. And like, I'm not going to get, I'm stopping myself from getting, I should say. But it's, yeah, nobody cares. I've yet to ask any of the coaches that I've hired to show me their credentials. I have yet, I do ask about their lineage. I'm like, who's your coach? First of all, do you have a coach? Who
Right.
is that coach? And if it's somebody, like, I want to make sure I'm in the right downline when it comes to like energy.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
if
100%.
your big dog coach is like fucked up and I've heard or felt off, I'm like, oh, okay, thank you so much for this clarity call. Take care. I'll be in touch or not. Um, I care about that, but again, it's like, how we were talking earlier. It's I want to know that whoever I invest in is still on their journey. I
Right.
don't want the coach that's like, oh no, I haven't had a coach in years. That would be a hard no for me. I don't care if it's a mentor, I don't care if it's a collaborative, if it's a mastermind, mini mind, whatever we want to call the stuff. But if they're not also growing, then we're on different, similar but different trajectories. So like, that is more important to me in a conversation of discovery with somebody than, are you ICF credentialed? Are you
Right.
do you have the 200 or the 400 or it's not even 200? I think it's like the minimum is 300. Which yoga certification do you have?
Right.
Like, have you ever gained a client or lost a client because of your yoga certification? Probably not. Like,
Yeah. None of my
it's that.
certification. Nobody care. Nobody, literally nobody gives a shit. They don't care. Like, I just became, actually, which I'm really proud of myself, but I just became a traumatic practitioner for
Ooh.
myself, like for myself. And people are like, but I've always, like, I know, like, just, it's a past life thing. I had to clear out karma from a past life of abusing my power as a shaman in this lifetime. So it was like, it was brought to me that, hey, you should go do the shamanic journey. And I was like, oh, no, no, thank you. No, thank you. I already knew about it. And I was like, oh shit, I see this coming up. And I was like, okay. So that was the resistance that I lean into, that I went through the shamanic journey. And it's like, when somebody said to me, oh yeah, I did that before. And so my thought was, oh, you're still doing it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it's a journey. Like, the shamanic journey is a journey for life. It's not like you don't just stop it. So
You mean you don't get your gold star and your certificate and just put it up on the wall? You're just like, I'm a shaman now. And like that. And so
yeah,
that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say, like,
100%.
living in this area and being surrounded. Like, there's so many places. Like, I had to be super, strategic when I was even looking for breathwork certifications, because my God, do not get on Google and ask Google where you can get a breathwork certification, because you're going to find one for $20, and it doesn't even matter who's teaching it or what it costs. But it's like, if you aren't being taught how to effectively hold space for people, you run the risk of re-traumatizing. And that's like my biggest goal in life, is to not be a part of somebody's re-traumatization. I want to, I say you can't take people deeper than you've gone yourself. So that's why I keep doing, not only am I tying up my own soul contracts and karmic contracts and all this stuff that I'm working through, but that's what gives me my authority and my consistency to do it for you and with you, because I'm still doing mine. Like I feel like, yeah, I can't agree more. Like when somebody thinks they're done and it's a journey, that's scarier than anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say yes. And I feel like that it has to be spoke about too, I feel like. And that's why I love this conversation. I feel like we spoke about everything possible spiritual. So maybe the title of this podcast will just be Everything Spiritual and Beyond. Because I feel like, and that's why I love these conversations too, because I feel like, I said this to my friend that we did this together. We did the shamanic journey together. And I said, I knew the collaboration that we were going to do it because we will then, being a shamanic practitioner is to just bring everybody, like bring more people into the awareness of that. But I will never call myself a shaman because that's just not what aligns with me. I don't feel like it's that purpose. Right. So it's like, I'm very clear. And I can see it very clearly that the practices of shamanism is it's basically a glorified, if people don't know what it is, it's a glorified like witchcraft. It's different types of religion, it's earth, it's spiritual, it's everything combined into one. And it's just like the intention and healing, and it's a lot of deep healing. And it was like that was what I was asking for, because I was resisting my own deep healing. And I was like, oh, here we go, this is what we're doing. Like that's just kind of like what it was. But it's very, now that I've been through it and I'm, taking other people through it, it's like, wow, this every single time I teach it or every single time I talk about it, it makes more sense. And it's a deeper level and a deeper level and a deeper level. And it's like, this actually, out of 9 years, everything full circle has been coming back around like, oh, I understand this. Oh, it makes sense. Oh, that, like, it's like, okay. And it's just like, that is what I like. Like, that is exactly why, and I feel like same thing with you. You do what you do. So I love that. I love it for both of us and anybody that's listening, because obviously people that are listening to this, you also need to hear whatever. You can take whatever we say. You don't have to take anything, but I feel like, it needs to be said. And I think it needs to be talked about it more. I feel like people don't talk about it as much, especially this whole the coaching industry or mentor healer industry is so loud. And it's just like, you have to be very, very clear on when you're picking coaches, because I have a coach, I have an amazing mentor right now, and I align with everything that she that she aligns with. She also has a mentor, but I also had a mentor, and she became a friend that was that person that I had to kind of break away from because she stopped getting that mentorship. She just kind of was a space in her life that she needed to learn more lessons. And it was more of the moment that I knew I needed to separate myself from her was when she said, I did all of this myself. Nobody helped me. And I was like, oh my goodness, that just blew my mind. So I was like, I'm here. I'm going to go this way. I love you. And I wish you all the best. And that's literally, I just release people with love now. And it's like before, I don't need to hold grudges. I just release you with love, because what I want back is love. So regardless if you hate me, I'm still going to respect you. It's nothing about like, I had
1000%.
to learn that. I had to learn that lesson. And I feel like so many people, I took everything personal at one point in my journey. And then I take nothing personal because I know it's not about me. It's obviously you don't need to hear it. Maybe I overspoke. Maybe I offended you. Maybe I did this. Maybe I did that. It's like my intentions never, at the end of the day, is always to show people love and to just have like raise the vibration of the earth. Like, because shit, it is low here.
and that's literally
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better of
Yeah.
like, people are where they are,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that it's not for me to fix, it's not for me to do. There's
Right.
nothing that I can control in life but how I respond, period, point blank. I cannot come over there, I can see you headed towards disaster and I
Right.
can't stop you. I can share, I can love on you, and I can hold you in a non-judgmental space if and when you come back. It's no different than I work a 12-step program. It's no different than if I stop checking in with my sponsor, I
Right.
stop going to
Right.
meetings. it doesn't mean that I'm drinking, but like there's parts of me that Taylor that hasn't been to a meeting in 2-3 weeks or a month is a very different Taylor than what you have right now. I'm not bad or good or anything. It's just different. So it's like it's these things that we've signed up for to continue to some extent. It doesn't have to be every day, all day, but it's just the awareness of like, I know where to go. I know when I start feeling uncomfortable that it's probably, I'm falling out of routine. I actually this morning, I'm gonna say this, and people that are Virgos out there will understand how big this is, but I'm continuing to make some quantum leaps in my life, right? So, you know what I did this morning? I moved my coffee pot. I know, right? I said I was gonna do it last night before I lost the nerve, but after breath work, I like passed out when I got home. And so this morning I said, nope, Taylor. I'm like, girl, you said you were about to change your life. Move the damn coffee pot. So I moved my Keurig to a whole other counter, found a new outlet, and uncomfortably stood there while my coffee made itself this morning.
Right.
And it's like, it's so small that people, I hopefully if you're listening to this, you're laughing hysterically, like, wait, what? You thought I was about to like drop a bomb? Like I just went and did something magical. But it's that kind of stuff that will allow you to change everything in your life. Everything. Start doing something different every freaking day. And in a week, in your 21 days that it takes a human to form or break a habit, all that stuff, like do something that little. I moved my coffee pot today. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow yet because I can't handle this right now, but it's moved and I'm not moving it back. So it's like, that's the journey. So yeah, if you ever catch me, so now we'll add that. If you ever catch me in a white flowy skirt on the beach, saying that I'm meditating or something, like if you catch me with, oh, I don't need a mentor anymore, I did all that, come find me and drag
I'll
me
come find.
into
I will
somebody's.
personally come find you because I will gladly come to California. No, I was gonna say I love it. I love that, and I was like, that was definitely like mic drop at the end, of the podcast because I feel like I'm not a Virgo, and I don't, I can't I can relate to other experiences, but that, I do know, like I hear Virgos talk about it, that very slight, I feel like you just need to honor that, right? Because it's like, they don't change things. It's very hard for them to change things. Like I do know that characteristic of a Virgo. So, I think I think it was, I think I have my seventh house. I could be lying. My seventh house is Virgo. So, or 10th house, something about relationships. And that's why when things change in relationships, I'm like, oh God, what's happening? So it's like that, can, really, I definitely can resonate with that part. But yes, I love, love that for you. So, I could talk about this all day. We could go for hours.
No,
I
for
literally,
real.
like it could be five-hour podcasts. They'd be like, what the hell are they talking about now? So anywho, I want the listeners to be able to know where can they find you. I'll make sure that all of your links are in the description box and also on YouTube. But where can they find you if they want to connect with you, come say hi to you?
Yeah, I always preface this with, if you message me, it is me responding, because so many of us have autoresponders, and yes, I dabble in AI, but it is me responding. So you're welcome to say hi. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I am begrudgingly on TikTok, begrudgingly, because as my children have told me, I'm an elderly millennial, so TikTok's not really my jam. But Taylor A. Caruthers, on Facebook. Metanoia Innovative Solutions is the name of my company. So if you message me on my private page or my business page, I love to just have conversations and meet people. I do have a free Facebook community. I, of course, offer, coaching and healing services, card readings, etc. We can talk astrology all day long because it never gets boring and I always learn something. But yeah, I'm just like a human guide, spiritual guide, doing this human thing to the best of my ability today. And I would love to connect.
I love, love, love. So thank you everyone for joining us on today's episode with Taylor. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe. You can leave a review and then share this episode with somebody that you feel that will gain knowledge from listening. So stay tuned for more captivating conversations in the future. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode on the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you are a current or inspiring to be fempreneur, suffering from the fear of being seen and or feel very triggered when you're building your business, reach out to me at The Mermaid Light about my Rich and Resilient Biz Baddies. This is a collective text message Voxer support group designed to help you heal your triggers and turn imposter syndrome into bad bitch energy. If you resonate with our conversations and insight, don't forget to subscribe, rate the show, and leave a review. Your feedback fuels our mission. Remember, your journey to unwavering certainty and purpose is ongoing. So please make sure you stay connected with us on social media. Keep manifesting greatness in your life. Until next time, this is Lauren from the Enlightened Misfits podcast. Stay enlightened, stay inspired, and keep manifesting your extraordinary path.